energy update. It's been fucking intense. Cyclones, tornadoes, spinning timelines, picking up, putting down. 3 weeks. We've got a couple of days before we're fully 3 weeks out of the eclipse window. There's 3 days to end the 3-week eclipse window that we're out of. We are on the tail end of Mercury retrograde, like potent little portal as well. So that plus the 17-year cycle ending. We've got another month, just under a month before solstice. And I keep getting the message that there is something big for solstice. Solstice this year is a big deal. There's a big thing with it. I don't know what that is, but we're going to talk about this because the energies have been really, really big. I've been talking to my clients over and over and over and over and over again about this and talking to people about this. And so I want to talk about this. I've recalibrated 10 times over, up and down, all over the place, changing things all over the place like I always used to do all of the time. And then I've had such deep understanding about this. And I've come out here and it's like warm. Like I just got off a team meeting inside in my office, and I was like, had 5 layers on because the house is freezing. And I'm like, I'm going to sit outside and do this live stream because it's fucking beautiful weather. And I think it's like supposed to be 26 tomorrow. And I'm like, oh, is this like the last little beep of like warmth before we go into our deep winter here? Because I'm in the southern hemisphere. Curious how the weather is where you are and where you are around the world. So welcome. My name is Hannah. Welcome to my live stream. This is Reality Awareness. And I'm just sharing this on my laptop, and then I'm going to bring up the comments to make sure I can see the comments. I don't know if you guys can hear how peaceful it is here. It's really peaceful. I was going to leave my earphones out, but there's gusts of wind that come through the valley, so I just want to make sure that you can hear me. Cool. Say hi when you're here. Let me know if you've been feeling these energies, because it's very much this. It's very much these energies of intensity and changing and shifting. And I was saying to my clients over the weekend, and it's just been like ever since Friday night, which is when I closed Life Purpose Accelerator. I had it at 250,000 to work with me for the year. And then I felt like I was like pulled up into this like level of light. And I was just like suspended there. And the light was coming in from all avenues and like burning through my system, like burning through on like a light frequency. And then I was just like dropped. And it was this crystalline energy. It was light. It was bright. It was white. It was, I don't know how to describe it. And leading up to this, so many people would like come into my field, disappeared, come into my field, dropped away, come into my field, dropped away, come in, like just like always people like all from my past, just come in, dropped away, come in, dropped away. And I was just like, okay then, okay. Like I was so conscious it is the eclipse. Okay, I was so conscious it was the eclipse, so conscious that it's the end of a 17-year cycle. And then on Saturday, you might have seen me post, and so I dropped the price to Life Purpose Accelerator to 50 grand. I've extended it for another 2 weeks. Well, it's another week now. And some people have said to me like so many things about it. And I'm like, at the end of the day, like it was new moon on Friday as well, right? And a lot of people felt this real intense, like, so Friday was new moon. Was it Friday, Saturday? And I think it was Saturday, like early evening. So late Friday night, Saturday morning, right? And like a lot of people felt it, like deep grief. Grief that is like something else. Grief that is out of this world. Grief that is not, like, it's so old and so ancient and pouring out of the heart. And Saturday, Sunday, Monday, particularly Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, was this level of grief that not many have felt. And it was so different, this depth of grief. And on Saturday, that is when Master Manifestor came through, and it was like Saturday night, like it channeled through me, and it was something else, and it was like this healing for me. It was like, that's not who you are. Like, in essence of like, you're someone who manifests your reality out of the blue. Like, you know, things turn up, you're in flow, you're in this frequency, you're in this like go. And it's like all of these things over the years have shut me down. Like the abuse and the trauma is real. Like the fallout from all of those relationships who left me in my deepest time of need. And it's like those places where, you know, like, notice who is with you. Notice who is with you when you're at your worst. Because if they're not there with you when you're at your worst, they do not deserve to be there with you when you're at your best. We've all heard it. But for so, like, this sort of last couple of months has really shown who's there, who's not, where are you going, what are you choosing, who are you taking with you, who are you not. Because the end of a 17-year cycle for all of us on a collective is massive. It's massive, right? It's so, so big. So all of these changes happened, right? In an instant, all of a sudden. And so many people have been like felt the burning in their own way. It's like a squeeze and just like constant stuff, like oh, it's constant. The next thing, or you're experiencing all this space of like, I'm just out here floating with this recalibration going on that I don't know what's happening yet, that I don't know which direction, and the way in the energy update. And it's so interesting because for a long time, right, years ago when I used to live at my old place and I used to live stream at the beach all the time, for those of you who followed me for a long time, I did a lot of energy updates back then. And like I used to say, like when people would feel the squeeze or they'd feel the pull or they'd feel like all this stuff going on for them, that I would describe it back then. And you can go back through my YouTube videos and see the live streams where I talk on these energy updates. And I would literally say, that, I can see you, baby. I would literally say that, you know, it's like, you know, our solar system is traveling through space and another solar system comes in and like, you know, merges or squishes with us and then like moves back out again. Like I'd literally say that when most of us would feel like, you know, we'd feel, what's the word? Like anxiety, panic attacks, depression, grief, what's happening, like things falling apart. Like that's literally what I would just like see in the ethers in the world, and see it as like another solar system coming in, merging and like dissipating. Like, and if you feel that energetically, that's what it feels like, right? And everyone's like, yeah. And then like here I am years later and discover about the twin solar system and Nibiru and all that stuff, and I'm like, oh, like all those years ago that I was saying it felt like that energetically and intuitively, and I was seeing that, I'm like, it actually was a thing. And the other concept that's been really sort of on my mind is in the sense of, you know, the, what's it called? Like we're taught that we live in a gravitational like reality, like that we live on gravity, when actually we don't. We live in an electrical universe. And that sort of like concept has been playing in my mind. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense, but I'm like, I can feel it like unconsciously coming in. Like I can feel it sitting there. It's not quite conscious yet, and I can still feel it sitting there, but more and more it's like dropping in. And I'm like, that concept feels so real. It's like we live in an electrical universe, not in a gravity universe. Like in this realm, it's not even the gravity, right? And so like these energies coming in and moving back, and I'm like, well, actually, I'm like, oh, that's real. And then the past like week I have been seeing, sorry, my dogs are just playing. I don't know if you can hear that. wrestling with each other. The past week I've been seeing, and this is part of the big shift, whatever has lifted has felt like a cloak has lifted from humanity. Whatever the past 17 years of imprisonment for lightworkers and humans has lifted and is starting to lift. But it's very common in breaking down in the level of grief. And I've spoken to numerous clients and numerous people in the last few days, and what they've been saying to me is, I can't do it anymore. It feels too big. Who am I to think that I can do this? I'm just one person. How can I bring this to life? Like talking about what's not on the planet yet of their purpose, right? It's like, how am I going to do this? Like, it's like, they're like good for a moment, and then it's just like, bang, like all this stuff comes in, and it feels like what is shifted on this new moon or come into effect on the new moon is letting go of all your old fears, insecurities, everything that, like all those old fears, like deeply coming up from the deep, dark subconscious of the things that have been buried for a long time, is what has been surfacing in the last few days, right? That complete breakdown of old paradigms, that this is not how it works anymore. Like, this is not how we run anymore, right? So the new moon looked orange. Yeah, there's been some things in the sky for sure. And I do believe that it has a lot of, there's a lot of twin solar system stuff playing into effect of that. And I do believe there's a lot of other things that we're not being told. So the vision that I've been showing in the last couple of days to a week is that our solar system is traveling through space somehow, right? Our whole system is moving through the universe, right? That's what I've been showing. And it's like this sort of twisting vortex, but it's like we're traveling through space. The other, and I don't know technical aspects of it, right? The other solar system is like coming in and out as we're doing that, like we're moving through it, right? It's like there's other planets, and because we're just traveling straight through them, like almost, yeah. And it's like every time we feel that, it's like, ugh, like being squeezed or not. And that can play out in your life as all the unconscious fears coming up, or things just being dropped away left, right, and center, right? Paths that you thought you were going to be forever, all of a sudden dissipating. And so the solar system moving through, it's like what I keep seeing, what I've been showing, and I don't know what this means, but I do believe it has something to do with solstice coming up, right? Because we're all started to feel it already. We're breaking down and everything's falling apart, but everything, it's like, we can already start to feel it. Quick, got to get ready. Quick, got to get ready. It's like, get ready for what? But we can feel it. There's a lot of us that have been feeling this in the past couple of days. It's like all the breakdown, but like, okay, and got to get organized, got to get ready. Okay, quick, it's coming up. What's coming up? Don't know. But I keep hearing solstice. Like, this is something with solstice this year, right? And so we're traveling through space, and then like we're going this direction, but all of a sudden, our solar system's like, no, this way. And it's like this, we're going this direction, but it's like this 45-degree turn, and actually we're going this direction. Now, for a long time, I've always talked about, like nothing set in stone. Like people ask me, like, so what's going to happen in my future? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a fortune teller. I'm not a psychic, right? I always say those things. And, because nothing's set in stone. Like as a psychic, we can see different portals of the future. Like we can see different timelines going to play out. If you continue to do this, then that's going to happen, right? Like, or if you choose this path, then you're going to create a different future. Like it's pretty simple, practical. I was going to say practical magic. It's pretty simple, practical steps, right? You do something different, you're going to create a different future. Simple. And so we're traveling along. And there's like 45-degree turn. But what I see is like we're traveling and there's like a gap, and then there's a ball, and then it flicks, and then there's a gap, and then there's a straight line. And it's like this path. Now, I don't know what that means, okay? Like I get showing these things, but and I almost wanted to say on this live stream, this is why my predictions don't work. Like I did that like world prediction update at the start of the year, and I always get all this information and then it doesn't come to pass. And the other message I've been getting in the past like week as well is like, because what I pick up is energetic. It is the energetic consciousness that I pick pick up. That is the prediction, right? Like I could list off a whole pile of dates between now and the end of the year, and what I'm picking up is actually energetic shifts in consciousness in your own personal life and in the collective, right? And this is where I'm like, oh, I should label them like energetic prediction update. So maybe I will in the future, right? So with this, energy update now, it's like there's something coming up with solstice. We've got another 3 days of, now. What's today? Another 2 days of the end of the eclipse season. So you may have heard me talk that, when there's a full moon or a new moon, there's like a 3-day window of on either side. We feel it coming into it, and then we feel it when it's leaving. Like it sort of unravels itself for like 3 days either side. There's also the 3-week window, and this eclipse season and the last eclipse on the full moon has been really big. I haven't got my calendar in front of me, on the full moon. But then was there a new moon? I think it was the full moon and the eclipse. Yeah, that's right. The full moon. And then there's 3 weeks of that out of the eclipse, right? So there's 3 weeks where it sort of unravels and starts to dissipate. So we've got another 2 days of it, roughly, when that 3-week window finishes. Now, I feel like everyone's waiting to the start of June, like, oh, thank goodness, like we're out of that. and that's really where it's at, yeah? There's this out of that 3-week window on the eclipse season and the Mercury retrograde and the 17-year cycle. Like it is so important to know that these, there's a lot of times where like myself or other people are like, oh, it's a full moon. Oh, it's a new moon. Oh, it's an eclipse. Like it's like doesn't even register because there's no energetic, like it doesn't matter. Like we don't feel it. We don't it's like we're conscious of it, but it's not going to fully affects us. And then this eclipse season has fucking knocked me for 6. And there's many people that I know that are usually pretty strong that it's knocked them. And what I mean by that is there's this big recalibration going on. There's a big recalibration happening. Yeah. It's like, I want to say it knocks you, but it's like there's so much stuff clearing out. It's your time to clear this out, right? There's a big energetic, it feels like a big energetic unhook at this time. That's what it feels like, right? So amongst this coming up now, like I said, like this sort of, and a lot of people I've been speaking to have felt like they're also in, it knocked you on your ass big time. Yeah, it's knocked a lot of people this season for some reason. And as I've been saying in my previous live streams and posts, like this eclipse season has ties in December 2021, April 2020, and 2004, 2005, the years, yeah? So it's like unraveling and unhooking from that cycle. It's almost like that timeline's done. You can't go back. And like now it's here. And this is where I feel like it's got something to do with like we're traveling in space. There's a gap. There's a round sphere. It's turning. There's a gap. And we're heading in this direction now. And I do feel like I said at solstice is when we're going to start moving and we can feel it. So is it that the straight line that our solar system's been traveling in the gap, and then we're in this sphere, and this is where I feel like we're about to, the gap is like the void of like, okay, are you really going to continue on this path? Are you really committing to what you say you're going to do? Are you really going to choose this? Because what this is, I feel, is a higher timeline. Not everybody's on it. Not everybody's been knocked by this eclipse season. Not everybody is on this same timeline. And this is where relationships are breaking up. This is where, and the relationships that are breaking up at this time is like so deep in the karmic cycle that you've had many, many lifetimes together, And part of the break and the shift and the timeline shift that you're on, if this is resonating with you, is that those karmic cycles that have been playing out for lifetime and lifetime and lifetime and lifetime and lifetime, and you know each other from lifetime and you get the point, right? This break and shift that's happening now is that you will never experience a lifetime together again. Now that's going to be scary for some people because they're not going to want that. Okay. But what I mean by that is the karmic toxicity that has been playing out for all those lifetimes, it's no more. You somewhere in your soul, in yourself, have chosen, because your human self and your soul need to line up with this, right? And this is what happens when you hand your will over to spirit and lead your life through the heart and song lines, is that when we are following that, this is the recalibration or shift that's happening at this point. So I do feel that like we've traveled, we're in it, and it's like this sphere, and there's a gap here because the void was felt in this circle. Like, you know, I was like, we're traveling along, there's a gap, there's a sphere turned, there's a gap, and then we travel. That void was felt, what are we now? So it would have been felt 10 days ago, right? Which would have been 10 days after the eclipse. And then I feel like, when is that coming? I don't know. I have a feeling maybe mid next week or this next 48 hours or so. Yeah, it feels closer to solstice, so maybe next week. And then I do feel like, and so the void is like where everything that you'd planned already gonna change again, right? And it's like, okay, universe, where do you want me? Like, you know, again. And then it's like moving for, and then it'll be like, okay, it's almost like you're really being tested. Are you sure you're choosing this timeline? Are you sure you're going to step up? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Are you sure? Like, so strong. Yeah, it's really, really strong. Is there anything else that I wanted to say about this energy update? So the eclipse has been really strong. The solstice, I'm actually going to hold a solstice ceremony. So in my full moon ceremony group, so you just pay like you would for a full moon ceremony. Depending on when the full moon is, I might include the full moon ceremony in there. I'll have to look at that. I just decided this morning. But I'm actually going to hold a solstice ceremony. So that will be held in my full moon ceremony group, because there's something so significant about this solstice. It feels really significant. And I just feel really called to honor this solstice. And it's been almost 3 years since I've been living out here, and something that has happened, so many things that have happened, but something is it's really reconnected me back into the cycles, and you know, and witnessing the sunrise and the sunset, you know, in this place has been heaven on earth to me. It's something that I really value, I really love. And the thing that's been most, I guess, stood out to me is through winter and through the cycles of the seasons, right, is, you know, when it's summer, the sun sets over there, and through, you know, watching the sunset every day pretty much, because you can see it out every window of my house, it's like, you know, you witness it every day on the horizon, go down in a slightly different spot, and there's two big trees on the hill over there. I'm going to take a photo and put on my story later. And there's like, they're only massive trees, there's 4 of them actually, but there's only 2 you can see from here on the horizon, like on the big hill. And the energy on that hill is something else when I've walked up that hill before. And the 2 big trees, and it's like a freaking portal. And you know what, like last solstice, last year, not the summer solstice, so I'm going to talk June, I'm going to talk months, because I'm talking to you guys in northern and southern hemisphere, so I know we're opposites, right? So June solstice last year, I watched it, I was like, oh my God, like it was like, it went down right in the middle of those 2 trees, like a portal. Like, you know how we see like Stonehenge, and we see all the pyramids, and we see all those points, and they're all based on the eclipses and the solstices and all the things, right? And these 2 trees are literally like the portal of, like, there's a gap and the sun goes down, like, and that's the solstice point, and then the sun starts moving back on the horizon. It doesn't, like, it reaches in between those 2 trees, and then it starts heading back on the horizon, back to my summer. And I witnessed it last year, and it's so close now, like, to me seeing it again, because it stood out to me. I'm like, this is like a fucking portal. And you know, there's 3 mountains around here, and I need to map them. There's 3 mountains, you know, fair distance driving, but they're in the vicinity. And I think I just lost connection. Hopefully it's back. There's 3 of them in this vicinity that, interesting, I'm just talking about these portals and these mountains, and my internet drops. Oh, isn't that interesting? Interesting. There's 3 mountains around here, and they're really big, but they have literally a flat top. Like, mountains don't have flat tops. They're like this, they go to this, and then they literally have a flat top. I've taken a photo of one of them, and there's 3 of them. There's one in that direction. There's one over there behind that big range. and there's one over there in a big triangle. And I pretty much, well, I guess I live on this row of it, right? And I know as soon as I talked about the portal of the mountains, the flat top mountains, because I've been going through so many changes, there's so much I want to say, and I'm going to keep this energy update reasonably short because there's something that I really want to share with you guys that I haven't shared with anyone. I've been processing it, something fierce, and it fucking brings me to tears every time I talk about it. Anyway, I guess that I've got a lot to say, and I've had these big shifts, and I want to live stream lots. I know about the mountains. I will find the photo of the one of them that I took because it's so clear, and you can't deny it. And there's 3 of them that look fucking identical. Like I've seen the one over there a little while ago and I was like, oh, there's another one. And then just the other week I saw the other one over there and I'm like, I've driven past that so many times and now I only see it. I'm like, oh my God, there's 3 of them. Okay. And I know I'm here for a reason. Like I know I'm here for a reason that's beyond what I know at this point, but I'm starting to really. And there's one near Toowoomba, tabletop. It's so interesting, yeah, because I believe that all mountains are not mountains. There's something else. And even the way the valley is through here is just like, you know, like every time I drive into town, like the valleys are so steep and I'm like, how did these form? How, like, you know, I'm like, these are like, you know, what am I actually on? What are we actually driving on? What is this? And it dawned on me the other day and I'm like, you know how we see all those videos of like, you know, the mountain ranges and it's like actually the bottom of the ocean bed when the water drained. And I'm like, that's what fucking this is here. Anyway. Okay. The point of me sharing about that is like a little bit sidetracked. Obviously there's a lot I want to share, but I'm going to do a lot of live streams coming up because there's a lot I want to share and I just, yeah. So I'm going to keep them in little segmented sections for you guys. So, yeah, they're not mountains. That's right. Oh yeah. So sorry. I just saw your comment before, Christine. You said it can't move me again. 6 moves in the past 12 months after living in one place for 20 years. Oh my God. 20 years is so significant. 6 moves in the past 12 months. Fuck, it's a lot, isn't it? And I know about moving and then I'm like stuck here. So much more on that later. So, okay, what did I want to say? Oh yeah, solstice. So the solstice coming up, and it's really significant. And I feel like, you know, like I said, another 2 days. So just be mindful. Another 2 days. I want to say, so if you've been losing it, if you've been knocked for 6, you're choosing a higher timeline. Like whatever is falling apart in your life, you've literally chosen another timeline. There's a lot of people that are doing big long-term relationship breakups right now. You know, like we're really being pulled and shifted to a higher timeline in so many ways and so many levels. And I do believe we're in this, sorry, that was the other thing. A lot of people have been saying to me, I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. I feel like I'm in a holding pattern. And it's like, yeah, I feel like the sphere is being like, okay, which, you know, I don't know that it's like, holding us. Well, I do feel to an extent there has been, and I do believe there's been a lift to a lot of light workers and a lot of light workers stepping out and like releasing the cloak from the closet and coming out of the closet. Like I do believe that, you know, and there's a lot of people stepping up and speaking their truth. And so this holding pattern, is it got to do with the sphere? Maybe, but we're literally about to be go time. So a lot of people, you know, a lot of people are feeling this. And so if you've been getting the drive to like get things organized or finish things, or there's like, okay, like got to get ready. It's like, get ready for what? Where am I going? What's happening? But we can feel it. And so there's a shift in the atmosphere. There's a shift in the energy. There's a shift in the direction. There's a few people that are like being called to be in different geographic locations as well. So really trust where you're being shifted to. Maybe you have just shifted, like that's going on too. You know, we're really being placed where we need to be for the next, you know, like 2024 is the year that I saw as a black line. It's coming up. And like and I feel like these next 6 months, 6 to 12, like 6 to 8 months, right, is like, yeah, get ready for what? Don't know, but the next 3 weeks, get ready. Solstice is like, okay, we're ready for what? I don't know. But we're all feeling it. So when it's solstice, I'm usually all over this. Yeah, 600 kilometers from hometown. It's a big deal. Ismail Perez says, I believe Australia is one of the portals on earth. Oh, there's so much around here. The stuff I've seen, not just around here, but in the outback, and yeah. I got lots to share with you guys coming up. Keep an eye out, turn on notifications, because I got a lot to say on these live streams. Something is just shifted, and I'm like, oh, Hannah's back. I'll see you guys soon.